Hello, everybody. We are live once again with Century hosting for our next in the series of webinars. And today I am just super excited to have Caylin White join me. Caylin, how are you today?
Hello, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good. It's so good to have you here today. Thanks for being here and joining us and, all this good stuff. And you have so much good information to share. I did get a sneak preview at the slides, and you're all in for a real treat today because it's going to be awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for being here. All right. I just tweeted it out to everybody. I just posted it on Facebook, just posted it on LinkedIn. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll get some more people here. If you are watching on any of those platforms and you have questions, please feel free to post questions in the chat at any point in time, and we'll make sure that Caylin sees them and can answer them. And if you have to duck out for any reason during this time, we will have this on replay on the website at centurycares.org. So, Caylin, I was super excited when I asked you to be here, and you were like, "Yeah, let's think of a topic and work together." And you are the queen of social media, in my opinion. You I thought I did social media well, and then I'm like, I'm seeing you on Instagram, I'm seeing you on Facebook, I'm seeing you on Twitter, and not only are you really good at, marketing the things that you do, you are so awesome at amplifying other voices and raising awareness around other topics and things that mean something to you and mean something to the WordPress community as well. So thank you for all that you do that way.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And you have your own agency, and then also you have helped other agencies in the past. So the topic today about saving your social media, or save your social media, save your agency with social media specifically, is super awesome. So I like to think I'm really good at it, but obviously there are things that I have to learn. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say. But before we even get started with that, tell us a little bit about, who you are and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for that awesome intro. It's funny when you look back because you don't realize how many people you work with and the partnerships that you grow. I'm so excited through my WordPress journey that it brought me to you and to Century and the fact that it's social is most likely because in fourth grade, I got excessive socialization on my report card, and who knew that it could lead to a wonderful career. So I'm Caylin White, and I am, I guess, just a digital marketer all around. You know how it evolves. For about 12 years now, started in the good old trenches of cold calling and, field sales, going door to door, and then learned about the power of digital marketing and social media and was addicted. And I completely nerded out about learning the power of connection online. And through growing my own, social media, I learned about what works and definitely what doesn't work, which is what we're going to talk about some of those things today. So I'm excited to kind of share my 12-year journey in a webinar with you. And I'm really hoping it helps those that are either just starting out their own social media or like they're a little bit nervous to sort of have a tone and a voice that really represents their brand. And also for those that already have a brand that maybe is stagnant or, just isn't really getting the growth that they want. Hopefully these tips will really, truly help, that next level. So
absolutely. Well, in full disclosure to the whole community, you all know I have a podcast. I have WP Coffee Talk, and I think I'm pretty good at interviewing people and doing that whole thing. I am terrible when it comes to advocating for myself through social media for my own projects. It's like it takes a back seat, right? So
cobbler shoes.
Exactly. So last month I was like, "Hey, Caylin, do you want to join me over at WP Coffee Talk?" And what you've been doing with my social over there, with our social, because now you're part of the project, is just phenomenal. And we've been growing, and the being able to retweet and things like that and share out over social things that we've done in the past that really continue to talk about those people and share those stories is pretty awesome. So
yes, I have loved it so far. I've been following that podcast for years, I feel like now, and I feel like it is one of those things that connects you and I together. And I was so excited to just be a part of it and to see it grow too. Like that could be such a fun future project for growth in so many different ways. Like you already have 100+ episodes, and I cannot wait to see where that goes for sure.
Thanks, me too. Well, I'm going to start your slideshow over here and turn it over to you. I'll stay on screen with you. I'll share any questions that come up, and I might interrupt you with my own questions as well.
Yes, please.
Okay, so here we go.
All right. So again, thank you all for joining me on this fun Century webinar. Like I said, I was really excited when Michelle reached out to me. I do consider myself a social butterfly. And I think it's important to be social for your agency. So this webinar is dedicated to resurrecting or starting social media for your agency. And just to give you a little bit of background on me, so that you might, take what I have to say to heart. I am the founder of CBC Inked. CBC Inked is a mashup of art, wellness, and marketing. I started as an artist. I am a full-time artist in my brain all the time, except we all know how that goes. And so I have combined art and mental health and marketing because it is hard to market yourself as an artist. So I had created Marketing in a Box, which is just a bite-sized tips and tools on how to market yourself. I myself have been a content marketer for around 8+ years. I really dig blogging. I love the power of partnerships through content and building those relationships. It's one of my favorite things to do. I consider myself a social media magician. I'm not sure if that's an official title, but I'm just going to make it up. It's 12 years of that, and really a lifetime of social, before that. And
when you're in marketing, creating your own fancy titles is like at the top of the list, right?
I mean, right? Yeah,
absolutely. When I had my own agency, I was the marketing diva. That was what was on my business card. So you can be the social media magician.
I love that.
For sure.
I love that. You're the marketing diva. I'm the social media magician. We both spin magic.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So yeah, like I mentioned, I think it's important to have a creative brain when you're in marketing, like she said. So being an artist, both of my parents are artists. My mom is an amazing artist. My dad and her were both teachers and taught art, and it spilled into me like it really comes across in all pieces of my marketing, I do believe. So it's kind of important to build that in. I'm a big fan of HubSpot and WordPress. I'm certified in both, and I really, really have learned so much from both communities. HubSpot has built me up in the content and social media world, and WordPress has brought together so many of my partnerships, like this one here today. I am also a step and rescue mom. I love my family. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and have enjoyed raising both my stepdaughter and my rescue puppy, Sophie. She's my best friend. And I'm also a volunteer at Big Orange Heart. If you haven't heard of it, definitely check it out. It supports mental health awareness. So I'm excited to team up with them this year for a fun event. And I'm obviously a WordPress advocate. I'm happy to support any WordPress company, not only in growth and marketing, but also just, like what I'm doing with Michelle here. I'm happy to spread the good vibe of social across any WordPress company and just support. I cannot wait for, WordCamps and all those fun things, just because I really am a true advocate of the community. And overall, I think the growth manager is the title of everything. I do feel like it's not just about social media, it's about growing. So that title, I feel, fits a big part of what I do. And one of my favorite things that I have said throughout my career, I even have it tattooed on my body, says, own it. Just basically whatever you're going to do, own it, make it yours, and really, truly put your all in, because that's really the only way to go. I've learned in my social journey that if you kind of dabble here and you dabble there and you're really not owning it, you're really not going to see your full potential. So I think that that's a big part of the social media game. So that's me. And I'm excited to kind of share with you the very first step of our social media grind, which is, drum roll please, mindset. Yes. I think a lot of us don't think to start here. You may be an agency owner, you may be a freelancer, you may be a brand specialist, and you are maybe not wired for marketing yet. So setting your intentions and getting in the right mindset is the first thing that you need to do. And this might not be easy for some, given the time of our lives. So I put together a little checklist that I do, and has worked for me for a few years, and it took me a while to get here. So I do feel like if you don't start here, you're missing a core step to the process. So first of all, mindset is not, oh, let's turn a light bulb on and now we're ready for social media. It is the daily grind. So that means that you need to break it down to your daily routine. It's not just you're not going to wake up one day and say, oh, I'm ready to go. I have all my ducks in a row. You're going to have good days, bad days, things thrown at you. Life happens, all of that. So you really need to be able to boost yourself up so that it shines through in your social media. So the way that I kind of break it down is it's daily self-care. Whether that means for you affirmations, I'm a true believer in affirmations. If you don't know what those are, they're basically kind of speaking to yourself in positive self-talk. So for instance, if you start your day by, with gratitude or something positive, you're kind of setting the course for the entire day. So an affirmation today might be, I'm going to crush it on this webinar, and whatever it might be for the day. My advice is to make your affirmations very specific. If you wake up and you say, I am amazing, that's great. And you are amazing, but you also have to dial it down into what is happening to your day and to you personally. So I'm going to crush it on this webinar. I'm going to have so much fun with Michelle, and I'm going to have a wonderful day are affirmations that you kind of start your day with, and then apply those to social media. I'm going to really grow my social media. I'm going to build brand new partnerships through my social media, that kind of a thing. Also meditation is in there. And again, it's not woo-woo. It's very just, if you can do this, great. If you are not a believer, great. Try it. See if it's for you. Meditation to me is not so much about sitting in a yogi position for 4 hours and sweating. It's more like, as I get up throughout the day, what is my mind saying? Am I breathing erratically? Like, how can I center myself first before I'm able to take on an entire social media platform? Because if you jump into social and you're not balanced, you could, really take, offense to some things. You could hurt your brand image. You could do all these things that really are not, good for your future. So I think making sure that you're set and balanced is good. That goes along with how you treat your body. So of course, clean eating, exercise, balance, we might know these things to be true, but then you wake up and your alarm's off and you're rushing to go do this and you forget to eat and you forget to drink water because you're so focused and stressed that you might forget about your balance. And I am seriously part of the problem too. I'm not saying that I crush it every day. You got to be kidding me. But, it's at least there on my checklist so that I'm trying in the morning. I do feel like mornings are your kind of your building blocks for the day. So
yeah, we have a couple comments. Let me pop those up here for
you.
So Taylor Walden, we love Taylor. Taylor says, I love that you start with mindset. That's exactly how I approach it after years of failing to do it right. That checklist is super helpful. And then she also says, around when you were talking about working with other companies, that if you work with multiple brands, writing down the voice of each can help a lot.
Oh, yes. It is so important.
Thanks, Taylor.
Yes. Thank you, Taylor. I love you. Yes. Writing down the voice. Speaking the voice, that's a big challenge for a social media marketer. You have to really dive in and speak the language, live the brand, really, really immerse yourself in that tone. It's so, so important. I think we'll touch a little bit on that too. So awesome. Yeah. So again, just starting your day, my little CBC Inc. daily formula, I'm going to share with you a little thing that I do to start my day because it's so cheesy, but I love doing it because if I don't do it, I feel like it's not the same. So I start my day literally by putting my one foot down. And the first foot is like thank, and then the next foot is you. So it's like thank you before my feet even touch the ground. So you're starting your day with gratitude just for waking up, whatever, just like thanks, like I'm here, like I'm up, I'm doing it. Even if you feel horrible or you're not ready or your mindset's not there, if you just kind of start your day with gratitude, it's like, all right, we can do this. You start to believe in yourself and you start to get going. So that's what I do literally with my feet every day. So now you can picture me waking up with my bite splint and my disheveled hair and my crazy pajamas, and I put my feet down with a thank you. So next is really kind of core to social media. Write down your intentions, goals, target market, and plan. So this is kind of a big list right here. And I know it's just in one sentence, but if you're watching, please write this down. You need to start your social media, and this ties into your mindset too, because your intentions are going to kind of further into each post and each thing that you share. Write down your goals. Where do you want to go with this platform? Like, who do you want to speak to? You know, do you want X amount of followers? Do you want X amount of engagement? Do you really want to reach people, or are you just educating? Are you more informational, that kind of a thing? Think about your target market. You know, who's your audience? Who are you speaking to? You know, and all of that. Kind of formulate a plan. I honestly think that this is kind of the fun part. You know, when you're putting a plan together, it's like the blueprint for your future. So you can kind of say to yourself, if I have these intentions, what are my actions that are going to follow through? How am I actually going to reach those goals? So it's not just, oh, I have a goal of getting 10,000 followers. It's, I'm going to post every day, and I'm going to share this content, and I'm going to write great articles. And, you know, it's very fine tuned once you get those goals in place. So I highly recommend creating an outline of that. Don't make it too intense. Don't overwhelm yourself. You know, maybe 2 or 3 things. Start small, and then we'll start to build on that. So start there. Get your tools in order. We're going to talk about that today. I have some recommendations for tools, and we'll talk about how they can help you. I literally would not be here today without my tools. I swear, sometimes I feel like I'm cheating because the tools do so much for me, but it's actually just the way of the world now, and you need to embrace it. So we're going to talk about our tools and how important those are. And lastly, this goes along with mindset. You need to have faith in yourself. If you start out doubting yourself because maybe the market is saturated or your competition is fierce, you need to stop that noise right now. And that way, when you move forward, you're not bringing that doubt into your posts and into your shares. So that's super, super important. Whatever that means to you, you know, that's what you got to do. So
we have a question.
Yes.
So Jeff wants to know, when does coffee enter into the agenda?
Oh, coffee. Oh, okay. That's going on the top of the list. Okay. So right after my feet touch the ground, then coffee.
Okay. Just so we know the caffeine's in there somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Next slide deck, I'm going to put coffee for sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes. And maybe listen to a podcast with your coffee.
There you go. Exactly.
Awesome. Okay. So step 1, don't get nervous, but we are going to go through some of the most important logistics, which is your profile setup, or if you've already got a couple of profiles going, we're going to audit those. It is amazing to me as a marketer how many times I go through the great brands, or medium to large size brands, and their profile is junky and it doesn't have the information that I need, or it doesn't make sense to what they're doing, or it's cluttered with buzzwords. We want it to be short, sweet, to the point. So not to put any pressure on you, but your online identity is kind of everything, right? If we're living in these times and your brand is represented by your online identity, I think it's important to do your research. That could mean that you might not be ready for every single social profile, and that is okay. Do not feel you have to, be on every single platform everywhere. But I believe, for what I've seen in the past and what how I've helped companies grow, is the 4 core social profiles are Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. That does not mean that you have to post every day, 99 times a day on each one, because they are a little bit different. Each platform is different. So we're going to talk about how important it is to kind of break those up. And if Instagram doesn't work for you, no problem. You can go far with Facebook. You can go far with Twitter. You can really, really, truly do that. But if you'd like to really just go all in, check out those 4. They're quite easy to set up, but they all include the same sort of profile rules. Number 1, you got to put your logo or a profile pic up there. Don't put a picture of a butterfly or you and your dog randomly. You have to really connect that social profile with your brand. So think about the big brands that you know and love. Apple, right? Apple's an apple. That's Apple when you see that. So making that connection for your target audience is huge. So logo or profile pic only. And make the picture good, don't off-center it. Don't have a pixelated image from 1994. Make it good. Include in your profile your company brand or title. It's amazing to me how people almost skip past including their name. Usually your handle can be your name, and that's great. If it's not, go for the next best thing. it's important to maybe try your best to keep it close to your brand name if you can, or adding a word in there that makes sense to your title. So maybe, thinking about that as you grow is important. Inside the profile bio, you want to include what you do. Again, people may not know. You may think that you're amazing and people should know just by looking at you, but don't insinuate that they know what you do. So include what you do. Your service or product should be listed. Your website should be listed if it's possible and linkable. And then right after that, if you've got a sweet tagline, include that. It's important for people to see your personality. So it's not just, hey, this is me, this is what we do. It's more so, this is how we're going to help you, and apply it to your audience. And again, super pro tip, just be clear. I see a lot of cluttered things on profiles these days where people can get lost in the buzzwords and the imagery, and they're just like trying all these new things with new emojis, and emojis are great, but you really do need to make sure that it's concise. Your service, your mission is right there, ready to go for each one. So those are your profiles.
So I have a question. In Twitter specifically, and maybe through Instagram as well, but in Twitter, often in the bio that we see at the top, you can use hashtags. Is it important to use hashtags? Are those helpful to have in your bio?
Yes, good call. And yes, of course. If you can hashtag only 1 to 2 that are the most core for you. For instance, if you're a WordPress company, hashtagging WordPress is great. You can get part of that conversation. If you are, I wouldn't say you're actually going to hashtag your brand, because people might not know that. I would keep that core to the website. But if you can include 1 to 2 hashtags, I think that that's a great part of it. I'm learning the power of more hashtags being important in the actual posts. For instance, if you were to search a hashtag, it may not bring up a profile. It'll bring up the posts first. But I do think it's important to include them. Yes.
Thanks.
All righty. So let's talk about building a following, because what's a social media platform without your peeps? So this is a quick example of Sprout Social. You might know Sprout Social. This is to go back to the profile setup. So again, logo, concise, clear, all that good stuff. Name, website, we build this, we do this, hashtag, that's for you, Michelle, their website, and that's it. You know exactly what they do by looking at them within 3 seconds. That's very, very important. So keep in mind that people need to know and keep it simple for them. Okay, so how do you build a following? Okay, this is like one of those concepts of Rome wasn't built in a day. So don't get excited if it doesn't happen overnight, because I'm going to tell you right now, it does not. Building a following is organic. You don't want to start something without understanding that it's going to take dedication. So you're going to dedicate some time, and not a lot of time. Honestly, if you can pop in here and there and do it organically, I think it builds a better social media following than just blocking out massive amounts of time in your day, because who has that, right? So dedicating time on liking, commenting, and complimenting on other accounts. So here is my favorite part about this sentence is you need to compliment them. This is hard for some, but also as you build these partnerships, you're going to start to love what they're doing. You're going to start to, want to engage with them. So being on social that's what it's all about, is lifting up other people. A lot of marketers try their best to get their product out there. They're talking about their service and how can I help you? And some people forget about the fact that you have to lift up others in order to show your support first. Whenever I do any content marketing partnership swaps, I am always sharing their content first. I'm complimenting them first. I'm retweeting or resharing first. And then I may go in and encourage them to follow me and really build that trust. Here's my little formula. Again, adjust this for how much you want, for your own social following. But I want, to build organically without paid. So if you want to go the paid route, you can. You can go and you can do all these apps that build you these paid followers. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a waste of money and it's a waste of time, because most of them are robots. But you can go that route if you want. Here's my route. So I follow about 5 to 10 people per day. Now that's across all social platforms. So you don't maybe want to jump in and follow 10 people on Twitter a day. You can if you want to. That's great if you have the time to do it. But I wouldn't just follow anybody. I want you to pick your influencers that you really admire and really truly just follow them because you want to see their content or you want to share their content. The liking part is important too. I would like about 25 to 30 posts a day. Don't just go down the feed and start liking things. Really take the time to like them, and make sure that they're, even if they're not relevant to your brand, but in your world, in your community, something that you would share, make those likes count. Kind of consider your likes as preserved for those. Don't just spread your likes around. And commenting. I mean, honestly, across all platforms, it's about engagement nowadays. So it's not about just gaining website traffic and I have all this thing. It's about commenting, engagement, impressions, reactions. So commenting 10 to 15 times a day is awesome. It's a lofty goal if you're busy, but just jumping in and saying, hey, Michelle, this was a great podcast today. This is amazing. Hey, Century, love what you're doing here. Quick, simple, organic, human is kind of a great formula for comments. I wouldn't just copy and paste a bunch of different things for different people, but really make it come from you. And then sharing, again, same concept, share other people's content at least 1 to 5 times a day. I go by the 80-20 rule. Sometimes it's 70-30 where I share 70 or 80% of my own content and then 20 to 30% of other people's content. When you share other people's content, you're not only showcasing that you're supporting that brand and you're affiliated and that's a part of your community and your tribe, but you're also saying, hey, this is an expert, this is a value for you, this is a resource for you, and we support that. So you're also showing both of those sides. So I love doing that. I do it quite a bit. I probably do it too much. I should probably share more of my own content. So anyway, yeah, and also people love quotes. Whenever I'm lagging in anything I want to share, I always go back to a quote because not only does it inspire me, but I feel like people love to just hear a quote that really resonates with them. And you never know who you're going to reach. You don't know what people are going through. So one quote could change a whole day for someone. So that's a kind of a fun way to build a following. The most engagement that I get are from things like that. And we'll go through some other tips, but don't forget to tag and share, tag them. If you start to build a following where they have started to share your content, you're starting to build this amazing relationship online, you can tag them the next time you talk to them. For instance, Michelle does this awesome thing where I think it's on Fridays. She says, these are the people that have made me smile this week. And she'll tag the people that have made a difference in her life that week. And not only does that, I'm sure that tweet goes like wildfire, but it also just makes that person feel so good, that you've made a difference in their lives and that you're really truly a part of your community. So I think that is really important. Don't be scared to tag someone. If it's an influencer, we'll talk about influencers a little bit, but if it's an influencer, be careful with those. You want to make sure that you're tagging them in appropriate content or relevant to what they're doing and not just, hey, influencer, look at me. So you want to make sure that it's relevant. And above all else, share quality, educational, and positive content. We'll talk a little bit about the positive side too in this webinar, but quality means for you and your agency that it always ties back to the fact that you are the expert. Educational meaning you want to be a resource. Share what you can to bring value to their feed. If what you're sharing doesn't bring value, they're not going to come back. And positive is just that warm and fuzzy when people see you. If they're feeling a negative vibe with what you're posting, they may unfollow. So just watch out for that. So that in a nutshell will really truly help you build a following. Again, it's a small outline and adjust it to where you feel is enough for you to handle in your schedule without being stressed out.
To your point about tagging influencers, I had, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, feels like it was yesterday, but I'm sure it was longer than that. I had watched the Netflix special that Brene Brown had done. And it really, I didn't know a lot of her stuff up to that point. Of course, I'd heard her name, and it was my first foray into really listening. And something she talked about really resonated with me. And I was able, so I tweeted out my personal experience and why her Netflix special, and I tagged her in it, why it had made a difference to my way of thinking about that experience in my life. And she actually responded to it. And she's huge, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like, hey, Brene, I love your stuff, right?
Yes.
It was actually sharing a personal experience and how she helped with her content that she'd shared. And
Isn't
so
that
that's the kind of stuff I think that you're talking about.
Absolutely. And that feeling,
count.
yes. And that feeling that you get is just like, wow, you know, like it's really a great thing when you have good influencers that understand the concept too, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Let's talk about tools. My favorite thing in life is automation. I really love when I know what I want, I know how I want it, but I don't want to take the time to do it all myself. So automation comes in, plays a big role. Also, just the creativity, the tools for creativity, I think are important. Again, these are probably tools that you already know, but if you're not a marketer, maybe not. Definitely rely on these tools. And I'm going to tell you what I use each one for. So obviously we all love Canva. I've loved Canva for years. I literally could not do half of these things. This presentation was built on Canva, half of my graphics that I use. Anytime you have a social media graphic that you can't do by cutting and pasting, check out Canva. It's free. I mean, honestly, they have a wonderful plan, a pro plan that I'm sure is amazing. But honestly, if you're bootstrapping and you're getting ready to go, check out their templates. I mean, 60,000 of them. They've helped me, kind of build a brand image without understanding what that even meant yet. So early on in my days of CBC Inc., I had no idea what I was doing, just playing around, almost like, your PowerPoint presentations in 6th grade. And I really built it up from the tools that they had. And I wouldn't have been able to really do that without them. So think about things like, like this graphic for the Century webinar, you can pull it in and manipulate it and make it yours. I wouldn't just use templates the way that they are. Pull in your own flair and your own creativity for each and really, truly like cut, paste, manipulate the image so that it really does shine through your brand though. So make sure you take some time there. And it's fun to use and easy to use. It's so fun. I love them. So check it out, canva.com. Buffer, and I just introduced this to Michelle a little while ago, and
I'm a believer now. I'm a believer.
Her whole world has changed. She was so excited to use it and see how easy it is. So Buffer is my go-to for social media automation. This is the tool that when you don't want to sit on Saturday and post out 4 tweets, 2 Facebook posts, 1 LinkedIn, and an Instagram post, you schedule it ahead of time. So I'm a planner, I'm a scheduler, I color code my calendar, and Buffer has been the tool that has, again, been free. And they have a wonderful premium plan as well, but they offer great things on the free plan. I think you can load up 1 social media platform of each on the free plan and also go up to about 8 to 11 posts, which is great. So 8 to 11 days out, you can schedule it out and get ready. And then the good thing is that if you have something happening now, trending, or you want to tweet now, you can just, share now. And so they have both options. Not only that, but you can analyze. You can analyze your social shares and you can kind of see, all right, how did this tweet do and who engaged here? So it's all in one place, which is really, really cool. They have an awesome couple new features that I think are really beneficial, but really, truly take the time to learn it. Michelle, don't you feel like it's easy to use? You picked it up in no time at all.
Yes, it is easy to use. And I've used Hootsuite in the past.
Hootsuite is great, yes.
But Buffer, I think, is easier to use than Hootsuite is. And it's just a more intuitive tool.
Yeah, if you're not a marketer, it's like, it just kind of makes sense. You can write posts, schedule them out, analyze them all in one place. One tool that's not on here, if you're a Twitterite, is TweetDeck. I definitely want to give it a shout out, even though it's not listed, because I do feel that if you're collaborating with other accounts and if you are wanting to watch it all in one place, TweetDeck is great. It's just basically a platform where it incorporates different Twitter accounts in one dashboard, and you can share from various accounts. So definitely want to give that one a shout out too.
The other nice thing about TweetDeck is if you are running your own brand and you have teams, you're using teammates, you don't have to change your password every time to add a teammate or take a teammate off. Yes. So you haven't risked your entire Twitter account
and information. Yes. Yeah.
And exactly. To be honest, so it's really good for teams.
Yes. And Twitter is kind of annoying because sometimes it'll ask for your phone number and your login. Collaboration for teams too. And Buffer, great for collaboration for teams. Awesome. And then BuzzSumo is more of a strategy tool. So you have to think about not just creating posts and getting them out there, but you have to think about the actual content. So you have to, maybe learn what's happening. And maybe you don't want to go on 19 different sites to learn what's happening in your industry, what's going on in your community. With BuzzSumo, you can look at the trends, you can plug in keywords and it'll bring up who's tweeting about it. You can break it down by the influencers who are tweeting maybe your hashtag. You can monitor your own brand. So say you're just starting out as an agency or you're revamping your social media, tag your brand online, find out who's talking about you. For some reason, some people write blogs and articles and don't actually link to your website. And so you can find those people and ask for the link. That builds, your website traffic and gets you seen more on search engines when people are mentioning you. So the brand monitoring is such a huge feature that is underlooked a lot. I love when I get notifications like, oh, somebody mentioned CBC Inked. It just feels good and it makes you, want to keep going. So definitely check out BuzzSumo. There's a ton of good insights there and analyzations as well. So just really check those out and make it work for you. It's fun to just play around with too, because you can drum up some really good topics just by learning what other people are talking about. And it's really good for real-time events. So if you're in an industry where you're really reporting on like what's happening now, BuzzSumo is a great tool.
Taylor says she always forgets about BuzzSumo until she's either bored or stuck. I'm assuming she means bored with the content that she's been creating, not bored with Twitter or whatever. But anyway, until she's either bored or stuck with her content, and then she remembers that that's a really helpful tool. So
yeah, you can get stuck because you have to pump out a lot of content on social. Like it's not just a one post and you're done. So you can be like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've already posted about this and I've already done the Monday motivation. Like, come on, like can we just think of something else? And you'll pop on a BuzzSumo and see that there's some ideas in there that other people are talking about and it's trending. And so I think it's helpful sometimes. I forget about it too, honestly. I have to kind of remind myself, but I think it's important. So. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is my take on influencer marketing, which I'm not a huge fan of that term, to be honest. It's still one of those terms where I'm like, oh, is it icky? Is it cool? But it's here to stay. So we're going to work with it. I kind of feel like we're going to laugh at it in 10 years from now, but right now it's huge. And if you want to amp up your social, I think it's important to talk about. So one thing I learned in my journey is that you want to shoot for emerging influencers. Okay, don't go for, the New York Times or the Elon Musks of the world. They're probably not going to answer you. I love you, but they're not going to answer. So when you're tagging people and building relationships, you want to shoot for like small to medium-sized influencers, meaning maybe they have 500 to 1,000 followers. Maybe they have 3,000 followers. Somebody that it actually does their own tweets, actually posts their own stuff. It's not a PR firm that's, repping them and maybe won't answer. Feel it out and see if that influencer is sharing what other people are sharing. If you look at someone's Twitter page, an influencer's Twitter page, and they have not shared one thing from somebody else, that's probably not a good partner for you. You want that 70-30 vibe with them too. So shoot for emerging influencers.
The other thing to remember is it depends on your industry too, right? So an influencer in your industry may have 1,000 followers, but an influencer in the coffee industry may have 50,000 followers or 100,000 or something. So the number of followers is less important on a grand scale as it is to the general audience that you're looking at.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, how they represent themselves online is huge too. Again, if they're not sharing other people's content, they're not going to share yours. So take a look at how they're posting too. One of the cool things that I love doing is writing a blog post and linking to the influencer. What I do, my little technique is, I'll generate a topic idea and I will, know that it surrounds them in their industry, and I'll reach out to them after and I'll just say, hey, just want to let you know you were featured in this blog post and it would be awesome if you shared. I really value your expertise, and here's me and connect with me. And what I'm seeing is that, to be honest, if someone wrote a blog about me and was like, hey, this is, I'm going to share it. I'm going to definitely get excited, feel honored, and share it. So I think that that's a really great formula if you knock it out of the park with that blog post. You want to make sure that you're writing in their favor, complimentary, all that good stuff, and you're linking appropriately. But it's a fun way, if you're in the content world, to really kind of connect with those influencers, and you'll start to see that they'll go back and they'll share, follow you and share on social because you've lifted them up first. So try it. Or a spotlight post or something like that, thought leadership post, something like that would work too. Again, share, like, comment without a sales pitch. I can't even tell you. So I'll post a picture of my dog and 99 people will go in my DMs and be like, your dog's cute. Let's do this and collaborate here and dum. And it's like, no, like, you don't even, that's an automated response. And I don't appreciate that it's robotic. So don't come in with a sales pitch if you don't even know me. If you've never liked anything I've shared or anything and you come in hot with a sales pitch, you're going to get shut down. So again, come in slow with resharing and tagging them and offering a compliment. You really lift them up. I think a lot of people don't realize the power of complimenting others. I know you and I do, Michelle, a lot because we're in the world and we just love people. we're a rare breed where we love
people.
But I don't know that all agency owners and marketers do, you know, like they may not think that that should even be a part of their marketing. So I think it's important to add. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about content. Now, of course, these might not apply to all of you, but I wanted to share some ideas that I have learned over the years, what works and what doesn't work, because I'm actually kind of surprised by the results. Like, there are some posts that I'll share that I'm like, this is going to crush it. Like, this is going to be one of those posts that's like, it's going to go viral. And I'll talk about a way that one time I went viral that I have no idea still to this day why I went viral at the end. But okay, so you can always, and first and foremost, you should post your blog content. That means that you have to blog. I don't know if you are or if you don't understand the importance of content marketing, but please write your heart out. No matter if you're doubting yourself about it or not, share your blog content. That's the most shared content on the net. So be sure that you are sharing your blog. Ask questions. So one of the best ways and polls and surveys, things like that, you'll get the most engagement. There's something about human nature where they feel compelled to answer. I don't know what it is, but it's in me too. Like, I'll see a question, I don't even know the person, and I'm like, I'm definitely going to answer this for no reason at all. And you'll get engagement, and then you'll start to grow and be a part of that conversation. You'll be tagged on that thread, and it's a really good web out effect for social. Like I said before, quotes. Everybody loves a good quote. Pet pics, that's just my own personal favorite. I do see a lot of engagement. And what it does when you post a pet pic is it connects you personally to your brand. Like, just because you are your brand does not mean that people shouldn't see that the CEO loves their cat or dog. You know, you really do want to make that connection. And for some reason, animals is the way.
It brings that humanity, right? It's more than we all like technology. It's that we have other shared experiences as well.
That's it. It's the connection vibe for sure.
Yep.
I mean, it's the same thing with the memes. Everybody loves a funny meme. Even if you're not going for funny and you are a very serious, brand, throwing a funny meme in there sometimes can really help to just lighten up your social, because you're going hard with educating and value and you're doing that, but you want to make sure to lighten it up and let your personality shine through. I don't think enough brands do that. I think a lot of people are scared right now to show that personality and show the funniness, but you can make it work appropriate. You can make it cute and clever, and it's going to get reshared. So also talk about your journey. Health and wellness plays a role in everything that we do now. Don't be scared to talk about your health and wellness anymore. Like, open up shop and talk about your own health, your wellness, what you're doing. If it's important to you, being transparent and honest in your content means that you're going to share things about you and your brand that, people think is like the secret sauce. So you want to be transparent. That's a tricky one because you don't want to go too transparent and be a diary, but you want to share a couple quick stats that are going to wow people. Sharing your failures is a huge way for you to grow from it. So not just share your failure. Don't just share your failures and be like, yep, I failed today and we're done. I would share your failure and say, this is how I learned from it and this is how I'm growing. So each failure should have a growth aspect to it, but that transparency will make people feel really connected to you because you're like, oh, but she fails too. I fail. So it's one of those connection things for sure.
The face palm emoji is one of my favorite ones for that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
Yep. And it's tweeted often from me, just like, whoops, messed it up again.
Same.
And people really do, connect with it. They'll be like, oh, I'm in the same boat. Somebody tweeted one time, what are 5 words that was the biggest marketing fail of your life. And I tweeted, I forgot to record the webinar. And I got like 55 likes and comments like, oh my gosh, that's a nightmare. I thought I did that too one time. And oh my God. So it was a really fun connection to build with other people's failures.
Yeah. I always say that the more human you are, I mean, you don't want to overshare, of course,
right.
But the more human you can show yourself to be, the more people are going to relate to your brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fine line for sure, but definitely be open to it. And of course, all of your events, if you're hosting webinars and podcasts, all of your video content, that should be shared all the time. Don't feel like you're going to overshare it, but you should promote it. Like, it's fine to share it a few times over. Like, keep that at the top of mind when you're doing that.
Yeah. We do have a comment again. Taylor is tuned in and paying attention. I love it.
Yay!
Her comment is that she had a random post go viral organically, and it was one of the most glorious moments of her career.
Yeah, it is.
So
okay, like, I wonder what it was and why it went viral, though. Right?
We'll have to ask her later.
What's the pickup? Like, how did it? Was it the hashtag? Like, was it the community? Like, I'm so curious as to it.
Sometimes it's just the right timing. So I created a meme. This was back before when Ruth Bader Ginsburg was still alive, and she wasn't doing well, and there was all this political unrest, and I shared it for my personal brand, of course, and I imposed her face over Princess Leia, and I just wrote, "Help us, Obi-Wan, she's our only hope," and that went viral over the internet at that particular moment in time, and I was like, well, that was pretty freaking awesome.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
You hit the right sweet spot, right time, and the right Star Wars character.
Exactly. And I think Taylor's had to do with Bernie on the Moon, if I remember correctly.
Yes. I remember that one too.
Awesome. Anyway, sorry, I just interrupted, but keep going.
So here are everything I learned over the years that I failed at and have learned from myself. So you don't want to do these things. And we talked about all the things you do want to do. It's important to learn just a little bit about what you don't want to do. It's not too much. It's pretty simple. It's basically being a good human being. But honestly, if you're a brand, this applies to just your brand. So this is not your personal social. So you can do whatever you want on your personal, just understand that you are a representation of your brand online. But on your brand social, I would say make sure that you do not share any negative content. We're not in this to argue. I think a lot of times you can get caught up in conversations and it can lead to debates. And that's fine if you have a strong stance and factual evidence to back up any conversation that you're having. But as long as you take a positive stance on it, that is a great way to remind yourself, like, hey, this applies to me and this is my industry, but also, like, how is this going to affect my brand, my future, my team, whatever it may be? So make sure that you don't get caught up in the vibe. It's very easy, very, very easy to get caught up in these conversations. So just make sure that whatever you're reading and sharing is a reflection of your brand. And number 2, we're all familiar with the lovely trolls. We just don't want you to be a troll. I think it's important that if you are one of those people that loves instigating and starting like fights, and you're the guy at Christmas dinner that starts the conversation that everybody's like, uh-oh. So don't really bring that to the troll station. Like, let's just keep that on the low and make sure that we are not going on other people's profiles and initiating those conversations, because your brand could be affected. I've seen brands go out of business by tweeting the wrong things, so it's important to make sure that you're not that person. So simple.
Last month alone, Burger King UK came under some incredible controversy because they said something about a woman's places in the kitchen.
Ooh, yeah. See, it's just not worth it. No. It's nice to be funny and to pal around, but you got to make sure that you're not hitting any of those points, especially now. So
right.
Cool. So here's some posting tips. These are, again, things that I've learned along the years that I totally wish I could have gone back with a magic wand and fixed up. Number 1 down here, start with your goal. Go back to your key goals from the very first mindset slide and just make sure that you are going back to your goal every single time. It's so easy to get on social and just get on these tangents and forget your vision and your goal and your mission, and just to start posting social because that's what other people are doing. So go back to your goal first and foremost. But these tips will help you. They helped me. Keep track of your social posts. I do it the weirdest way. I have Notepad on my phone, and I just copy and paste posts that worked well, posts that I like, the content, the lingo, the hashtags that I use, the format of the post. I put them in a Notepad. You can keep track of them in Buffer and things like that, but the copy paste for me is the most efficient. So, and then I can, personalize it. I can add people. I can do all those things. But having the core concept and keeping track of your social posts, I think, is huge because it also builds your database. So if you really truly want to build partnerships through social, keep track of those things. I think it matters. A lot of people jump in and they don't keep track. So right off the bat, make sure you are. Repost older content and personalize it a bit. I think as we get through, we're always like new content, got to come up with new. Don't forget about repurposing. You can always go back and fancy up an older post or an older social post and really truly make it just as good for a new post. And of course, I'm gonna always say this, but keep blogging. Don't give up on it. There are several times in my life where I was like, why am I even blogging? No one's reading this. Nobody cares. But then somebody started to care. Somebody clicked. Somebody commented. Then I have a partnership. Then I have a rug that I'm creating for art. Then I have I have all these people asking me to do things. And I don't even know where it's coming from. So keep blogging because most of the time it comes from your blog. And in that blog and in your social posts, you can offer free resources and fun things to your followers. Michelle, you're queen of this. You can always give swag, give freebies, share fun things. One of my favorite companies that I have worked with and partnered up with is Give WP. They are amazing at giving free resources away, and I just love it. So swag, right? All day. No one's going to fight you on free stuff.
No, exactly. You want my PO box? I'll be glad to give it to you.
I'll send you my address. Give me the box. Give me all the boxes.
Right.
And I love it. And the good thing about free resources and swag is that the person that is going to accept that is going to be excited to share it. The first thing I do is set it all up on my table, put the shirt on, get the mug ready, take the picture. And that's what it's all about is like,
you're so good at that.
And lastly, of course, just be authentic. What I find is that sometimes it doesn't match up for the brand doesn't match up with their social. It's almost like they hired someone that's not even speaking their voice. So if you're doing your own social, you need to make sure that your brand matches your social profile. If you are not the person that you say you are online, it's going to shine through and eventually it's going to come back out that this is not really who you are. So make sure that what you're posting is authentic. And I think that's fairly easy if you're passionate about your brand. Honestly, I can't imagine posting something that's not really truly something that comes from my heart. I think a lot of people are scared to be authentic and maybe they feel like it doesn't apply to their brand, but I'm telling you, it goes far. So if you can put your own kind of personal authenticity on a post, I think that's going to be much better than churning out content that's fake. So keep that in mind.
5 minutes left. I do have one question from Jeff here.
Okay.
Is there any timing strategy that you recommend, especially for Twitter?
Yeah, time of day or how often?
Let's say
let's do both. Yeah, let's do both. Well, of course, time of day is where you're located with your time zone. With Twitter, I am so in the moment that I usually react. I do more reactions with Twitter, meaning I'm reading something, I love it, I'm sharing it. Or I've hopped on right now and I'm going to tweet this about this event. Or I'm so excited to check out what Michelle's doing on her Twitter. That is kind of a reactionary thing for Twitter, I think. But how often? So I believe each platform is different. So Twitter, I would say at least 4 times a day. If you can do more, that's great. 4 to 8 times a day is wonderful. The thing about Twitter is it falls fast. The news feed falls fast. And so it is sort of like whoever catches it. Right now, they're on the algorithm where if you've tweeted a lot with someone, they're going to show up first in your feed. It's much like Instagram. But the more you tweet, the more engagement you're going to get. So if you've got the time and the energy to do it, great. I'd say Instagram and Facebook are relatively similar and they require at least 1 post. I would say minimum 1 post. 2 is great. Instagram is more like personable to me. I feel like if you were to showcase your team or, some more of the culture of your team, I think that's great. And Facebook can be a combination of both education and team. And then on LinkedIn, it's definitely more professional. 1 to 2 posts a day would be great. I think even just 1 is fine. To me, LinkedIn is much more B2B building and networking. So just making sure you're at least getting on there 1 to 2 times a day. For everything else but Twitter, it would be ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Awesome. Great question.
Yeah, it was. It's funny. I've worked with a lot of companies that forget to put their social on their website. So when you're ready and when your website is amazing, make sure that you put your social on your website. I actually had this myself as I started out. It was like building my own website. I learned and did my own WordPress site from scratch. And I didn't even think about it. And not only should you put your social on your website, you should put it on every single blog post, at the top of the blog post, at the bottom, on the side, wherever you feel your audience is going to engage the most. So make sure that you're adding it everywhere. If you have a lot of social posts, you can use a tool called Linktree. Michelle, you're familiar with Linktree,
yep.
right?
Yeah. Yep. I've got it in my bio on Twitter.
Awesome. Linktree is so great because people want go to different sites and they're not sure which way to, you don't want to just direct them to your website. You can direct them to each one individually. So check it out. I think it's linktr.ee. I think that's their website. It's a unique one, I know. But I love those. That's what's on my page. And so get your social on your website, make sure that you're sharing it on your blog for sure, and any other platforms that that you can share it. And of course, find a great website host like Sentry, and you're all good. Shameless plug there.
We'll allow it.
Okay, good. There's my shout out. And this is me. I'm happy to take questions, of course, but I just wanted you to connect with me. I love these things and I love meeting people from these things. So please, again, I'm cbcinc.com, but I'm CBC Inc. pretty much everywhere else. And you can always connect with me on LinkedIn. I welcome new connections for sure. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you dropped some amazing knowledge in there. Anybody who's watching or is like, I didn't get this or I missed that or whatever. We will have this on the centurycares.org site. So
Perfect.
That's not a problem to find this later and to rewatch again and again. And would you be so kind as to let us share your slides as well? So if you tweet those out, we will retweet them.
Yes.
And I'm going to remove, let's see, I can't kick you out of the studio. I was going to say you can stop sharing your slides if you want.
Okay.
And then you can see me again. There you go. Hi. So this will be on centurycares.org. You can find us there to rewatch this over and again. Let me see if I can get my banners right. So I'm going to say thank you, Caylin. Again, you can find Caylin at cbcinc.com, on Twitter and other places at cbcinc. Appreciate everything you did today and shared with us. Just so much good stuff you're doing. And I love working with you. So, don't ever decide you don't want to work on WP Coffee Talk anymore.
No problem. I think I'm in for life.
I believe you are. And then join us next month, May 26th. We're going to talk about site security with Michelle Jones. You can find us again at centurycares.org or follow us on Twitter at centuryhost. And we will keep you in the loop about all of those things. We would love to have you follow us. We tend to follow back too. We're pretty good about that kind of thing. It's me running that, not Caylin, so it's not quite as good as if it were her. But we do try for sure. And if you have more questions for Caylin, of course, you can tweet at her at CBC Inked, and I'm sure she would love to respond for that. Any last parting words before we
good luck. You got this. Agency owners, anybody, you got this. Believe in yourself. It's a long-term project, but it's worth it. So don't give up. Keep it real. Be kind. Be human. You're going to do well if you go that route.
Taylor says, thank you, Caylin. This was awesome. I agree wholeheartedly, Taylor. I saw in our Slack channel during this that she was sharing it with Social on Give, saying, everybody needs to go watch this.
Yay! Yay. I'm so happy.
Awesome.
I hope it helps people. I really do. It's such a journey, you know,
yeah.
It takes a big piece of you to share with the world. So, you know, it's a long adventure.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Truly appreciate it. I will see you on Slack, and we'll have so many more things to talk about.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Until
All
next
right.
month, we'll see everybody then.
Bye, guys.